Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me again. It's your boy TeaRon. That's TeaRon, period. And this time on the podcast, I want to dive into um, some travel journeys, right? I was talking to you previously about doing this travel series, and finding the appropriate guest for this is ideal for me. And for me, this one hits home a bit personally because, as you all know, I talked to you about when I went to Cali, Colombia, and it was a whole thing. Well, through that process, I was like, okay, I got to do some research. I got to figure out what to expect, what's gonna be like going on in a place I had never been. Right, didn't know much about until I decided I was gonna go there. Don't judge me, judge yourself. But anyways, I came across an individual who was already doing the thing that I didn't really do what she's did. Let me tell you, because she's on a whole other journey. But she shared her experience with deciding to go to Colombia and dive into the culture of the country. And I'm excited. I'm excited to have her. This is always surreal for me when there's people that I admire or people that I see doing their thing, and they say, "Yeah, I'll come and talk to you," and then I just secretly I get like so excited. I get amped up, but I won't waste your time anymore. We'll get deeper into this. We're gonna jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to introduce you to Philly. Philly, go ahead and introduce yourself. State your name, who you are, where you're from, why you do what you do, when you do, how you do.
Hello. So yes, I'm Philly. Thank you so much, TeaRon, for having me on the podcast today. I'm originally from Georgia, so I'm a Southern girl, as they say. And I'm actually traveled to Colombia with my family and decided to share that with everyone on YouTube. So before leaving, we did all the plans. We made the decision. We got to a place where we knew we wanted to make a change. And yes, we do have a little one. We have a 4-year-old. She's 4 right now. And we also wanted something a little different from her, something different that we hadn't received. And we wanted her to also be brought up with another language. So, everyone knows, like, when you learn as a little one, you absorb it so much faster. So we wanted to kind of jump on that for her, that opportunity, so she wouldn't have to struggle a lot when she got older like we had to. And then we just wanted that overall cultural experience. That combined with the overall, negative feeling and pressure we have, my husband being a Black man, like he's definitely felt it. And me just, my natural like desire to explore. So combined with that and everything, we decided to go ahead and make that move. So so like I said, we wanted to document that, and that's what I'm doing now. Currently living in Colombia. We've been here for about, I don't know, a year and 3 months or so. And it's been really, really awesome. And I'm like glad that I made a decision actually where I was brave enough to put it out there. Because I did have some moments where I felt like I didn't want to, or I was a bit shy, or like wondering what people would think. But I'm really glad that I chose to help others, because we definitely appreciated having those people on YouTube that we could follow, that we could, get insight from. So yeah, and that's been it.
Listen, YouTube definitely is a certified like university. The things I have learned from the tube of you, I'm telling you, like that's my first go-to when I need to fix something on the car. I need to see how to like get a deal on like something on Amazon. I don't know, whatever it is, I go on YouTube. I say how to, and I find that thing. So
Exactly.
that's the way it is. And I appreciate you for definitely taking the leap and saying, you know what, I am gonna share this journey, because um it's just not an experience that a lot of African Americans have an idea of yet, I feel like. Or when I say that, it's not an option that we know that we have. And so now you have people who are taking steps and really changing it up, really, really just like, you know, taking chances. And I think it's a beautiful thing, because we should have been doing this, but there's a generation that dropped the ball, and we ain't gonna get into to it too much, but I think you know what I'm referring to, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we just got distracted by who knows what, and we just missed the whole idea and missed the whole possibility, the whole option for us to think outside the box, think outside of our present surroundings. And so, yes, YouTube is like I will credit it with that, giving us the opportunity to see things differently,
Yeah.
different perspectives, what's possible.
I was listening to something not long ago, and they were talking about how they feel like these people in our own age group, but they were talking about how they feel like kids nowadays don't have to figure certain things out, like how to do a certain hairstyle or how to do their makeup, because they figure it out so soon because of YouTube. Because you go on there and it's like, okay, how to you can put in the exact eyeshadow that you want to do, and there's somebody that walk you through it. So the tutorial world is real.
It's definitely real. It's like, and then they don't get the struggle. Like the struggle is part of the experience. Like you need to struggle a little bit to appreciate things. And so that's what they're lacking. They're lacking that appreciation for the struggle.
Because you ain't lived until you try to cut your own hair and then had to go to school.
Oh no. You got to live with that. You got to
live with it, because and then you bald headed at school, and it's a whole thing. It's a thing, trust me. But with sharing your experiences on YouTube, I think the first video that I came across was, and this could be wrong, but this is the one I remember the most, was you actually preparing that day that you were going to be going to Cali, right? So I think you started recording maybe the night before, and then the day of that you were going to go and catch your flight, and it was that whole experience. For me, I don't know if you, well, obviously you have done this, but there is a thing that I try to find when I look up these different places I'm going to travel, different countries. I always try to find a video that someone has shared or uploaded, someone that looks like me, number one. And when they like them going into like an airport or whatever, because when I go somewhere, or like let's say they get off their flight and they're recording and you see whatever, when I go to the place, I'm like, oh, there's that.
You're like, it does exist. It's real.
Yeah. You've done that. I'm like, oh, hey, there's that statue. I don't know. Or I'm just like, oh, that's where they were when they were talking about, just dumb.
No, it's not dumb. I think I've done something like that, honestly. Like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this in the video.
Yeah. Because it's I don't know. I guess it's different. Like, okay, like I have this thing where I hate when I'm watching something with someone and they feel the need to go on the internet and look up like a spoiler for the thing they're watching in real time. I hate that. So this is like that. It's like a spoiler. So you never go and get the first like experience. You basically watch the thing and you say, oh, but it's so necessary, because when you're Black and you're traveling internationally, especially when you're African American, you already have this sort of defensive state about you. So when things come up and you don't know, you're in another place, you got to find out how they treating us over here first.
It's true. It's so true. That's why you need someone who looks like you.
Yeah. And so you find like the smallest things, because I don't know about you, but there's like little quips or just the smallest thing that would turn me off from somewhere. I'd be like, oh no, nope, not happening. Not happening. I ain't going. And so when I find the videos with people who look like myself going to places that I desire to go, it kind of makes it, I don't know, it relaxes me. So it calms my nerves a bit.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
So when you were recording that video, when you decided to move to Colombia at that moment, has it been 2 years ago? Yeah.
That was actually February 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah.
It feels like it's so long ago.
I know. It
Who
doesn't
knows?
seem like
These past 2 years don't count. Okay.
it.
But but when you did that, was that your first time traveling to Colombia or no?
Actually, it was not.
Okay. When did you
Yeah.
first travel to Colombia specifically?
It was November 2020. And so we had, done the plans, come up with a decision. And then my husband was like, well, look, I cannot, because of work, he couldn't travel to Colombia. And of course, we have a little one. And so we're like, okay, well, one of us, can go, that being you. Because, you can get away, you can make the trip. And he's also like, I'm very, fortunate to have him because he's kind of like, well, if you're not comfortable there, if you don't like it, we're not going. So he puts a lot on me to make a decision, which I do appreciate. So he's like, okay, well, I want you to go. I want you to, check it out. And if you feel comfortable, you feel like it's a place that you can live, then we'll go. So I went. And I was super nervous. I think I posted a picture on my Instagram, but that is the picture where I was on my solo trip, where I'm looking kind of crazy because like I'm bug-eyed and I'm like, I'm really on the plane right now. I'm going to another country by myself.
This is real.
I am crazy. Like, yes. And then I also looked at the posts for COVID-19. They were warning you, saying if you travel out of the country, the US is not responsible for you, like basically in less words.
When that happened, so when you were going on your solo trip to check out Colombia, were there other places in mind? Like, were there other places that you and your husband discussed, like maybe we'll travel here, or had you already heard of Colombia, or you already knew somebody that knew something about, like what made you all point to that one and say, hey, go ahead and go and see what this is about and see if it's something we're going to do? Or, what if there was another place, where would you have gone? If not?
Okay. So yeah, so after making the decision that first of all, we want to leave the US for, some amount of time, we then were looking at which countries. Okay, both of us had some Spanish skills. We did have that. So we're like, okay, well, it's going to be a Spanish-speaking country. Then from there, we were like, okay, so what's around us? Then we narrowed it down to cost of living. We had to look at the visa types, how easy it would be to get a visa. All those things we had to look at. And so Colombia was definitely one that had an easier visa process. It, of course, is Spanish speaking. We looked on Facebook. So we definitely used the Facebook groups as a big help for us, a big resource. So we were getting a lot of opinions about Colombia at that time that were positive. People were enjoying it. A lot of people said they enjoyed the quality of life they were having according to, the cost. And long story short, it just lined up for us to go to Colombia. We were looking at Mexico and what was the other country? I believe it was Argentina. So we did look at those places, but we ended up coming back to Colombia.
And I'm assuming at this point you don't regret it. Colombia is a beautiful place, honestly. Like I don't know what it is, but when I first arrived, I was just like, yo, this looks so much better. I think it's like that new it's like when you first, I don't know. Okay. It's like, okay, when you were from Georgia, right? What part of Georgia are you from, by the way? I didn't ask you that.
Yeah, I'm from Athens, Georgia. So it is where the University of Georgia is, for people who don't know.
So you know how like locally you'll have like an event that's like, say, like annual each year, right? And people like, as the people from around, they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go to Athens, and there's the such and such, there's homecoming or whatever, right? And that's a thing. But if you're locally, you don't care. You don't care. So I think that was me. I was like, oh, this is so nice. Look at all.
You will not believe how many Colombians question us when we came. Like, why did you come here? You're from the United States. Like, why?
Yeah, because don't even get me started on that. Like the fact that the US has managed to put itself out there in such a way that people just think like, oh well, I'm gonna go. Now I will say this. I have put myself in other people's shoes, and I do see that the idea is to take advantage of opportunities that come with being in this place, right? But we also have to start having this conversation that as African American people, our vision is already skewed, our experiences are already what they are. So those opportunities that you see from the outside in, meaning from another country, and people who desire to travel to the US, right? We don't care. we don't care, and often because those opportunities are there for a foreigner, doesn't mean that those same opportunities exist for you being native to the country. So often we have to find and reconnect with experiences elsewhere, I find, to really put things into perspective, because it's like, you get born into a thing and you eventually say, you know what, this really ain't all that. And so you're okay with being in a country that is considered third world, right? Because you done struggled anyway being here.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You done lived in the projects, you done slept on floors, you done had the roaches, you done had the Section 8, whatever it is, you had these experiences already. Mm-hmm. Just like, wow, I may as well take my black ass somewhere else. That's at least my logic anyway. Like I know how to struggle comfortably, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so true. It's because, we know what we know. We only have our experiences, and then we can't, I guess we develop our values differently from our struggles. So it's like, okay, maybe I once would have valued this, but since I've been through XYZ, now I just value some peace and quiet. Now I just value some fresh air. Now I just value, just not struggling. Like I don't have to have a lot. If I can afford a little bit, I can be peace. I'm okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And when people realize like that you can get like those back in the early 2000s, I remember my siblings like looking for their apartments, moving out and doing all this stuff. And they'd be like, oh, my rent is $500 and woo-de-woo-de-woo, right? And it'd be like a 3-bedroom apartment, right? And so I was thinking, as I'm growing up, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna see, I could do that. Okay. So I think by the time I get ready to move out, that I'm gonna find the same thing. $500 a month, 3-bedroom apartment. I'm gonna be good. I can live by myself, right? But that same $500, it's now $1,500 or more, And when people start to realize that you can get those $500 a month apartments elsewhere, man, listen.
Right, exactly. Stretch it out.
Because there's no sense in sitting around struggling like that.
Exactly.
There's no sense in you constantly playing catch up, is what it feels like. Do you think that when you got to Colombia, what month was that? Do you recall when you, not when you went on a solo trip, but when you and the rest of your family decided to come along? When did that happen? How far between your solo trip and the time you made the move? How long did that take?
It's about 3 months.
Oh, well, I was ready.
Yeah. We were literally like, okay, you're gonna go, you're gonna say yes or no, and then we're going. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead and pack.
Right. Go start get us some socks and exactly. Because we already had our visas by then, we were good. How
well is your Spanish? Because I'm gonna tell you now, baby, Maybe if I didn't have my little my driver buddy Alex with me, because here's the thing, you can learn Spanish all day long in school in America. Most times, if your Spanish teacher is Spanish speaking at all, they're usually from maybe Mexico, right? So every now and then you'll get like someone from the DR or whatever. You might have those teachers from those other places with different dialects, but I never had a Colombian Spanish teacher. And let me tell you, it's a different pace, if you will. So people will introduce themselves to you and you be thinking like they're just gonna me llamo you, but no. How well is your Spanish? How good were you before you moved, and then how have you progressed since?
Well, I think before I moved, I was not very good at all. Like my skills were basically, me llamo, Philly, soy de, Estados Unidos. No, but seriously, it wasn't very good. I mean, I definitely was able to understand more than I was able to speak, because we had, begun watching our Spanish movies, Spanish shows, Spanish music. We started like incorporating all these things already. But speaking wise, no, not good. Husband, on the other hand, great, fluent, awesome, So as I came to Colombia, though, I definitely picked it up more of the speaking and kind of like, forced to do this as I have a family. I want to be able to take care of them, need to interact. And today, I'm able to function, go wherever I need to go, take care of whatever I need to take care of with like zero issues. I can sit down and
So
have
you're
a conversation.
conversational?
Yeah, I can have a conversation. Listen, though. We can have a conversation for like 30 minutes. And then if I'm going to a deep, deep conversation, though, I might have an issue. I might have to ask like for a word here or there. But yeah. I definitely developed friendships and things like this without a problem.
See, I'm trying. I'm gonna get my Spanish to where it needs to be. I'm telling you. But it's the time put in. But like you said, you being there, when you're in the thick of it, you gonna have to get with the program, truly. Because you can't just keep going to the store and pointing at stuff. Like
no, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to charge you for that stuff. Like you're a foreigner. They're like, oh, you don't really know what's going on. Okay, well, let me charge you double because I know you probably got US dollars. Okay, awesome. And you give yourself away. You don't want to do that.
I literally had my buddy with me, and I was like, if we go to certain places, I'm not even gonna talk because I don't want people to be like, oh, okay, no, because I'm broke, okay. So I'm not gonna talk. If we go to a restaurant, I'm gonna tell you immediately what I want. Okay, go ahead and order it for me. Say I'm deaf.
But at the same time, you have to get your practice in.
You do.
So what you do is listen. You ask for the price. Learn how to at least ask for the price. And then once you locked in that price, then you can just mess up, whatever. You already told me it's $8 for this meal. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and practice. If I mess up, the meal cannot exceed $8 because you already told me. You know what I mean? So
that's smart.
You got to strategize. I strategize
smart.
A lot.
There was you talked about an experience. Well, yeah, it was you. Maybe if it wasn't you, let me know if it wasn't because I followed a few different bloggers and stuff at the time. But you had an experience with your phone being stolen. That was you, right?
Yeah, it actually wasn't my phone, thank God. It was my wallet.
Well, I don't know if that's thank God.
Well, I do, because you know how hard it is to get a SIM card, like all the way. Yeah. It was a US SIM card, so yeah, annoying.
So there's the one thing I learned prior to everything was no dar papaya. I was like, cool, got it. First of all, I don't even have anything to be showing off anyway. Right? But like I was talking to a few friends who I've now made in Colombia, and they were like, but a lot of times we just know that you are American because you're big. Because of like because
That's
of your
messed up.
I did feel a way, but I think they were saying like they were trying to say like your stature or the way you carry yourself. You know, maybe when you're walking down the street, you're more so looking at things, right? So they could just notice anyway, you know, if they're looking for it, let me say. And they were real big on that. They were just like, don't. I had to go like 3 blocks somewhere, and it was like, okay, well, there's no reason for us to like, you know, get a taxi or anything. We're just gonna walk over there. And a few of the locals who were with us, they were just like, just walk with your hand in your pocket. I was like, because if you don't, you know, people would like, there's some dope ass pickpockets, I guess. First of all, I want to learn. But
No, you know they have a movie about it.
they have a movie about it.
Yeah, about Colombia pickpocketer. I think I want to say it's based in Bogota, but don't get me to lie. But the guy is a professional pickpocketer, and you get to see him train and everything. So you should probably look for that.
This is like a movie or like a documentary.
It's a movie.
You got to tell you got to let me know what the title of that movie is. I would definitely watch it. but tell me about what was that like? How long had you been in Colombia at that point? Had you moved there, or was that your solo trip when that happened?
Yeah, I had moved there by then. I want to say it was around 5 months, probably halfway to a year at that point. And it was like, I know the term or the saying, don't, dog
Yeah.
papaya. However, I'm thinking in the context, it's always given usually like, don't have your cell phone out, like, don't text, don't have your wallet in your hand. Things like that are super obvious. However, I had a book bag on, and I just didn't consider the idea of like, I'm walking in public and someone in public is unzipping my bag in public, is going in my bag in public. So I'm thinking all these things are happening around other people, and like no one said or saw anything. It just wasn't a possibility in my mind. I'm thinking it would be a more outward display of my objects for them to easily get them. So it just was shocking for me. And I think I was actually coming out of a store. So I really think it was someone who watching me, I just made a purchase and they saw me put it in a specific zipper pocket. And then they went in that specific pocket knowing that I had money.
Yeah, they had to know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What, because when I was kind of riding around, I saw that even the women locally who had their purses or their backpacks wore them reverse, right? And I was like, okay, if they doing that and they live here,
right? Like that's what they do. Even the dudes do it. Like it's just
everybody
the way.
has everybody prefers the what you call, are those satchels? Is that what you would call?
Yeah, like the crossbody bags.
Yeah, everybody prefers those or something that's close to them.
That's what I have and now.
It's wild. But when that happened, because you were still so fresh to Colombia or living there, right? Did that shake your experience at all? Or were you just like, I don't know about this? Like what was the feeling in that moment? Or you go and you tell your husband, guess what happened? Or was he there? I don't even know. What was the experience like? He was like, this ain't it. Or this would happen in Athens. Like what was that like?
I'm for real. Like this is not we're not in Kansas anymore. What do they say? But yeah, so he was actually there. He was walking in front of me. And so he didn't see anyone or anything happening behind me. And it didn't, I think it shocked me. I kind of was in shock, like, dang, they just took my stuff like that. Like, my feelings are hurt, So I think I felt more like my feelings were hurt and like, how dare you take my money? And I was irritated because my ID was taken. So I'm thinking in my mind, okay, what do I have to do to go and get a new ID? And just being irritated in that sense. But as far as from a safety point, I didn't feel like I wanted to leave Colombia. I didn't want to necessarily leave Cali. So I'm not feeling as though I'm endangered. I'm just thinking, okay, some people who have some kind of need or desire just needed to get my money. Like there are people who have less than I do, unfortunately, and that's just how they get things. So it's like, well, I'm just the fool this time, you know? So yeah, it
Right.
just
Just
made me
like let me
feel
take my L and
yeah,
chalk it up.
exactly. Yep.
So
Yep.
so how do you move now? Like do you like move a little bit differently since that day? Well, I would imagine. But what's the distinction now? What do you do differently then versus
Man, let me
now?
tell you, it's like it's kind of bad because okay, first of all, I avoid downtowns more, even though I like them. I like going in the little shops and seeing what they have and that kind of thing. So I kind of just wanted to avoid downtowns, even though I've gone, of course, after that incident. So that's a little way that it's affected me. Also, I keep my bag in the front, also have a crossbody bag. And I'm just more aware of where my things are. And, I try to, keep I don't want to keep my head on a swivel till I'm looking obvious because there is that tourist eye, like, oh, what is this place? I don't want to look like that, but I also want to just be, aware of what's going on. And I think one of the worst things that I hate about it is that now, if anything brushes up against me or if I feel any pressure, like I'm like automatically like, you know, like something's going on, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh my gosh, ain't nobody worried about me, like it's just, yeah, it's just something I gotta look out for. It's just the norm. So
Yeah. That's so sad. But it also it's like you said, a learning experience. If you look at it that way, then you know that okay, obviously this ain't my own culture. This like I should have known better. So it's good that you were able to at least be like self-reflective in that moment because if it was me, I was like, hey, I'm ready to go, bro. I'm ready to go.
seriously,
I'm ready to go. Because I can't do nothing now. I would have felt like, yo, I can't go and hang out. I can't party. I can't. Y'all got my money. I can't do it. I would have that whole process of getting IDs and having to stop cards and all this other, you know what I mean? Like that's a whole process in and of itself. So yeah, I definitely would have been no good. I probably would have came back though, but
I
but
probably
I would
feel
have.
differently because I had, my husband there, like, okay, well, he got money,
Yeah,
we'll be all right for
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit.
So let's talk about for a moment, if you want, raising a child in a foreign country. What has that journey been like? Finding schooling, making sure you're in the a good neighborhood. What has that been like for you, um being Black American and trying to navigate that? What was that journey? Or well, do you do daycare and stuff like that?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, it's been pretty interesting, and there's different ways I could approach this question. However, let's see. Okay, so in terms of just the neighborhoods, yes, we try to go to a place where there's parks where she can play with kids. There's other kids, so we can see them, in passing and trying to like connect her. Maybe we can find like a play date or somebody for her to hang out with. And she did go to daycare when it was the summer. So it was like in between the school, normal start of the school year. We had her in a daycare, and that was awesome because she had some people to play with. She's getting that Spanish interaction, and they absolutely love her. Like every school she goes to, the teachers love her, and especially if she's the only brown baby. Like they're just like, oh my gosh. And I felt some kind of way, I'm not gonna lie, at first because they love touching her hair. And
Ah,
I'm just like, okay, y'all, like she's not a
mm,
pet, you know? And also, like, I do her hair and I don't want you to continue messing with it. Now it's going to be kind of messy because, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, oh gosh. So I kind of definitely felt some kind of way about that. I've gotten better, but it still messes with me a little bit. But I've learned to understand it's because she's different. They never experienced it, and they just love it. Like, oh my gosh, those salts and like it's springy. And but yeah, overall, she's been embraced. I haven't had one negative experience with her in schools, like as far as like race goes
That's
or
great.
anything. Yeah.
That's great. What do you think about like with your daughter being so young right now? Do
Mm-hmm.
you maybe I don't know, I guess it's hard to think that far, but do you foresee you all being there into say her teen years, or would you have thought about uprooting and going to somewhere else again?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, something we've discussed, going to another location. Do we want to keep her here? Is there enough, opportunities for her here? So we have been thinking about her future in that sense and having her more settled in a better place with more opportunities in that way. So yeah, it is a possibility that we will
Yeah.
move.
See, I have to think about these perspectives because I'll be moving around as like a single guy with no kids, and I'll be like, and so it's one of those things to think about because I do um sometimes being like 98.9% of the time lately think of like, oh, I'm gonna be living somewhere else soon, and thinking about like building a family somewhere and how that process would be like. Are we gonna go and try to be like dual citizens, or am I just gonna straight up be like I'm out and not, you know what I mean? So I haven't even thought about it yet because usually I'm just running around being a hoe. And
Oh no.
if I'm being honest, but yeah, it's just interesting to consider. Do you feel a desire to find your own people while being an expat in Colombia? Meaning, do you feel a desire to find other not even just necessarily other Black Americans, but also just other Americans in general to kind of be like, hey, me too, or I'm experiencing this too. Have you found that crowd yet?
Honestly, it's kind of weird because I feel like sometimes when we see other Black people in public around in Colombia, they almost don't want to make eye contact. I don't know what it is. And I never really know if are they Colombian, like Black Colombians, or are they, Black expats. But I automatically jump to it. Sometimes it's obvious if they're like an expat, but I seem to feel as though it's the expats that try to ignore you more than the locals. And I don't know what the issue is. I really don't get it. But I did an interview with two expats that were actually here for Fulbright. But like meeting them, like when we hooked up, it was like so exciting. He's like, yeah, like we have the same experience. Like you automatically want to talk about all the crazy stuff. Like, did this happen to you? Oh, guess what happened to me the other day? And because you can like totally like understand each other and you just laugh about stuff. So it's definitely like that experience that I do love about clicking and meeting up with other local, like Black locals, or not locals, excuse me, other Black expats who are also coming here.
Because I always think of that. I'm just like, if I'm living somewhere else for an extended period of time, I feel like I gotta find my tribe. Because we gotta be around here somewhere. You know what I mean? So I always wonder about that. I want to talk to you about what sparked this adventurous part of you, because like you said, you had moments about you where you were shy, or you weren't maybe sharing as much, or just putting yourself out there in that way, but it obviously had to be you. So who sparked that? Like, were you only child growing up, or did you have parents that traveled? Did you travel younger? And then what was your first international travel experience, and how did that all pan out? I want to go there.
Okay. So, that is a really, really good question. I would say like my first experience traveling out of the country was right after high school. My best friend and I, we went to Dominican Republic. And yeah, so I think it was Punta Cana, like a really popular place that people go to. And I thought it was awesome. We actually stayed in a resort though, which I actually wanted to
Yeah.
explore outside of that. But I don't think my friend was very comfortable with that. So we just stayed around, because the whole idea of, I think a lot of Black people have this thing like, oh, it's dangerous, be safe. They always say that especially when you leave the country, be safe, be safe.
But what
So
I found, not to cut you off, but what I
yeah.
found is those notices sometimes don't be for us.
What you mean?
Like when people put out the notices and they say, "Oh, you're gonna be going to Colombia, expect this,"
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's for y'all actually.
I see. Yeah,
That
exactly.
ain't really be for us. But
That's another subject. Yep.
yeah, but go ahead. So you went to the DR and that was your first time traveling out of the country overall. So was that
Yes.
like a graduation present kind of thing?
Yeah, it was something like that. Like we were, kind of celebrating, being adults, being out. And so we did that and it was awesome. And I thought it was the coolest thing because even back then, my Spanish wasn't awesome, but I was the one speaking the Spanish, like to, maybe the waitress or the waiter or whoever we were working with. Like I was the one to speak up and like, help us with communication while we were on the trip. And I just felt like I was just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I can help, with my language skills. Like I can communicate with another group of people. This is helping us. So I thought that was cool. And after that, probably 3 or so years after that, I had a friend who invited me on a trip to Spain. So I went to Spain. And that was actually really awesome as well. That was nice. Spain was cold. It wasn't what I expected. There were very many people who looked like me at all. And I thought it wasn't horrible. I didn't get any weird looks or anything. And after that, what was the next trip? Yeah, I think those were the only other two experiences I had out of the country. And then third was Colombia.
So it's that's interesting because it's almost like throughout your process, you were gradually building up to where you are now because you were visiting these Spanish speaking countries or you were practicing that language the whole time without even knowing that you would maybe end up here one day. So it's funny how life sets you up for stuff. You know what I mean?
It definitely does. I think my adventurous side is more so of my like love of nature. I love the scenery, and I'm also an artist. So I love seeing I love like the little knickknacks, little cultural things that people make by hand, all little handmade things, and specifically pottery, ceramics. I love to see those in different places where I go. So that sparks my interest. I feel like the more that I see and experience that is outside of what I grew up with, the more it kind of adds to my creativity. So yeah, that makes me a traveler by
I
nature.
love it. I love it. So I won't keep you for long, but I want to say this. Well, I want to ask you if you having had this overall pleasurable experience of being a Black American, deciding to uproot yourself, and have a different experience, especially with with the family, with a child. It's a huge commitment. It's a huge step, and it's good to see that you are having an overall pleasurable experience doing so. There's a lot of people that are doing that, but what would you say to someone who is not there yet, who maybe is playing around with the idea, or they want to travel to another country or live somewhere else? Like, what would you say to them? Like, as far as, because I find that personally, when certain things come up, I start to think about all the scenarios of like what can go wrong. Like I will talk myself out of something to my own detriment. Like I'll be like, yeah, but what if yeah, but and I'm thinking about scenarios that you know how people be like, well, if you walk outside and get hit by a bus, that's me. I'm that person.
Right. Oh gosh.
I always remind you of because I think it's the fear of the thing, the unknown, right? That holds you back, which is why I appreciate so much people like yourself sharing these journeys online. But what would you say to not necessarily persuade, but encourage someone to kind of follow that path, from your point of view?
I would tell them to first look at why they even are considering this possibility. There is a reason that they are considering traveling outside of their home, outside of what they're used to, what's comfortable with them. There's something driving them to have this desire. So I would look at that and say, even write things down. We did that a lot, made plans and just wanted to see everything like on paper. Write down what it is that is pushing you away. And those things, the more you look at them and think about them, they will be your motivation to leave. And you must know that there's other people out there. So once you decide on, I know it's like the cliche, like find your why, but like it is true because there's something, deep in you that doesn't, that's against what's going on currently in your life and you want something different. So once you realize that and accept that, then you go out and you say, okay, who else is doing this? Other people are doing this successfully. Yes, I have these negative ideas about XYZ can go wrong, but there's other people, plenty of people who are making this work. It's working. It's possible. And you just go find those people. See if you can find anyone who's doing it. See if you can reach out to them. See if you can ask them a question. And there's communities out there, people who are willing to help you. So number one, find out why you really want to leave. Be honest. And then number two, find people who are already doing it, who are willing to help you, who can also give you some more insight. Because there's a lot of things that you just don't know. There's a lot of possibilities that you can find that will work best for you and your lifestyle, to find, what you want, to find what it is you need. And you can find that. There's like, the world is huge. And I would say, just go ahead and do it. And if you go and it doesn't work out, you can come back. Just go back home. It's not the end of everything. Just give it a try.
Right. And then I would say, well, you would have to say to me, stop worrying about the buses, because when you get to Colombia, it's the little motorcycles you got to worry about.
Those motos will hit you. Yeah.
You worry about the wrong thing, buddy.
Yeah. Motos are dangerous. Yeah, that's a whole nother beast.
Well, as we head out here, as we get prepared to end the conversation, just go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, where they can keep up with your journey, and view your experiences as I have. Where can they find you, follow you, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, currently, yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Philly Will. So if you type that in, you should be able to find me very easily. And I also have an Instagram. I just post, random things that I see throughout the day, different aspects of my life here. And you can find that under Philly Will Travel. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
I just want to say again, I appreciate you coming through and doing this, taking the time to just chat with me. We worked out all the kinks, and I'm grateful. I'm super excited to connect with you in this way. And when I come to Colombia again, I'll let you know.
Yeah, just let me know. Just let me know.
I'll need someone to talk for me.
No, you can learn something. Come on now.
I'm trying. I promise I'm trying. We'll plan it out, and I'll say, look, before we go here,
we can prepare.
I want to order a steak, and so we're gonna go run it down.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. So again, I want to thank my guest. I want to thank Philly. I want to thank you for being a part of this and sharing your experiences. Forever grateful. And I look forward to communicating with you more as we go forward. As you all know, all the information for how you can follow our guests, keep up, is all going to be in the show notes. And of course, if you want to reach out to the show, you can always email us. That's ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com, or you can find us on the internet. You go on to a search engine, just type in Ubiquitous Blacks. And here's what, if you don't know how to spell it, just type it in and it'll say, did you mean? And then that's us. That's how you'll find us. I promise you. If you know, you can leave a review. Everyone, I encourage you to leave a rating, leave a review. When you do, if you do not feel like leaving 5 stars, just do not leave a review. Just go on somewhere, mind your business, and carry that on to the left. Because somebody messed up my 5-star streak and they put 4 stars. which is fine. They left a review at one time, but I was like, you messed up my rating. So kick rocks on a rainy day with flip flops on. Don't don't bring that over here. Okay. That being said, before we go here, you know how we do. And I just want to say, whether you are Black in Athens, Georgia,
or Black in Bucaramanga,
remember, we are
we
Black
are Black everywhere.
everywhere.